Water infrastructure is in a long-duration, policy-backed replacement cycle, where capital is already committed, execution is staggered over many years, retail attention remains absent, and invalidation requires multiple, simultaneous systematic failures, making it a favored early cycle allocation under the Quan Trade Talks framework. You can think of this like repairing the foundation of a school building. Children still attend every day, whether repairs are visible or not, and the work must happen even if budgets are tight, rates are high, or politics remain noisy. With that lens established, we begin at the structural foundation. Markets don't move when the crowd expects them to. They move when pressure builds quietly underneath the surface. This is Quan Trade Talk, where we track capital before it becomes obvious. Capital moves quietly. We move earlier. Quan Trade Talk. Capital moves. We move earlier. Quan Trade Talk. Almost no one is talking about this, but tens of billions of dollars are already being committed to fix America's most essential infrastructure, water.
Drinking the water doesn't mean there weren't contaminants then also, but we were in kind of a fool's paradise. We didn't know, so drink away.
These are decisions that policymakers are making, that communities are impacted by. And so these are places where politics play out too, where there's different interests at play, different resources that are brought to bear.
U.S. drinking water and wastewater systems are mechanically old, not just underfunded. According to EPA engineering assessments, over 30% of U.S. pipes are past their intended design life, many installed between 1890 and 1950. Failure rates do not rise gradually. They accelerate once age thresholds are crossed due to corrosion, pressure fatigue, and material degradation. By 2024 to 2025, federal agencies, the American Society of Civil Engineers, and state utilities continue to converge around $1.2 to $1.5 trillion in long-term capital needs. This implies 60 to 70 billion plus annually just to maintain baseline functionality, not expand capacity. Deferred maintenance does not compound linearly. Once systems cross failure density thresholds, costs jump discretely. Emergency repairs, contamination events, regulatory penalties. Skipping oil changes doesn't save money, it guarantees engine failures, and water systems behave the same way. Because breakdown risk compounds mechanically, capital cannot just wait for better conditions. That inevitably shapes how funding actually moves. At the federal level, capital enters the system primarily through authorization, credit programs, and lending capacity, not immediate cash spending. By 2024 to 2025, programs such as Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, as well as the Drinking Water and Clean Water State Resolving Funds, continue to maintain tens of billions in lending authority, even amid debt ceiling debates, continuing resolutions, and election year gridlocks. WAFIA alone had over $20 billion in cumulative credit assistance authorized, with project pipelines extending 5 to 10 years forward. Historically, U.S. infrastructure funding is authorized years before shovels hit the ground. The capital commitment precedes visible construction by design. Think of this like a parent approving a home renovation loan. Approvals happen first, demolitions come later. States function as capital allocators, not originators. They receive federal SRF capacity, then rank projects based on regulatory compliance risk, asset age and failure probability, population and environmental exposure. By 2020-25, many large states such as California, Texas, New York, and Florida reported near full or fully oversubscribed SRF pipelines. This means demand exceeded available funds. High utilization does not indicate excess capital, it signals structural backlog. Periods of SRF undersubscription historically aligned with regulatory rollbacks. That did not occur in 2020-25. States are teachers deciding which classrooms get repaired first when every ceiling is leaking. Municipalities and utilities execute projects, but this only happens after engineering studies, environmental review, permitting, and bond or loan close. This creates a multi-year lag between funding authorization and visible activity. Projects approved between 2022 and 2024 were still actively under construction or entering procurement phases in 2025. Capital velocity is slow, but direction is persistent. You don't pour concrete the day a loan is approved. Because this capital stack moves gradually, spending continues even when rates rise. So why does capital flow despite elevated rates? Despite volatile treasury yields between 2024 and 2025, the municipal bond market never froze. Issuance volumes fluctuated, spreads widened, but access to capital remained intact. MSRB and Treasury data shows issuance slowed but cleared. No systematic buyer strikes. Essential service bonds retained demand. Markets under stress still function, a sign of resilience, not exuberance. It's like still being able to finance groceries even when mortgage rates spike. Utilities also continue filing rate cases. Regulated utilities continue filing rate cases throughout 2025 to recover infrastructure investment. That's because regulators rarely deny cost recovery for safety critical systems. Instead, what they do is phase increases gradually and then spread recovery across years. Rate recovery remains slow, incremental, and consistent, exactly how regulated monopolies are designed to function. Instead of one massive bill, customers pay a few more dollars each month. We also seen that federally backed projects continued advancing. Projects supported by WFIA, SRFs, and federal guarantees advanced through planning and execution even as base rates remained elevated. And now, of course, this is important because federal credit support reduces rate sensitivity by lowering effective borrowing costs and extending maturities. This mirrors highway and energy infrastructure behavior during past tightening cycles. If capital is moving and execution continues, then why hasn't the public noticed? Well, if you follow me from the beginning, you should know retail capital follows price narratives, not necessarily engineering inevitabilities. Between 2024 and 2025, media attention overwhelmingly focused on AI and semiconductor capex, mega cap earnings narratives, consumer facing tech volatility, all while EPA funding notices, SRF allocation reports, and utility rate case approvals received minimal coverage despite representing way larger committed capital flows. Infrastructure ETFs saw muted inflows, water focused equities showed low retail value, earning calls emphasized maintenance over growth. Retail investors chase fireworks. Water infrastructure looks like concrete curing. No one crowds around to watch cement dry, even though it's what holds the building up. Retail absence, however, is not a flaw. It defines early cycle opportunity. Speaking of which, let's discuss some subsectors. Core water utilities. Engineering and construction firms translate funding into physical execution. Pipes, treatment plants, pump stations. Once utilities receive funding approval, engineering contracts are essentially unavoidable. Backlogs remain elevated despite macro tightening. You can't fix the house without hiring builders. Treatment, testing, and compliance technology. Companies providing filtration, PFAS removal, sensors, and lab testing are mandated by standards, not consumer demand. New standards translate into required upgrades, which then translate into non-discretionary purchases. Compliance tech demand rises after regulation, not after growth. If the rules change, you must buy new tools, whether you want to or not. Water reuse and scarcity solutions. Western states and regions increasingly rely on reuse to extend supply. Projects advance despite costs because alternatives no longer exist. When scarcity becomes structural, solutions move from optional to essential. When the well runs dry, you stop debating the price of digging deeper. So, while we're there, let's discuss what did not occur in 2020-25. There was no collapse in municipal credit markets. Stress appeared, but markets cleared. No elimination of federal water programs. Programs endured political cycles. There were no abandonment of drinking water standards. Rules persisted even amid challenges. Invalidation requires multiple failures at once, which just did not happen. To conclude, water infrastructure is not a growth story, it is a response to inevitability. Systems aged another year, capital continued flowing, retail stayed distracted, and risk remained slow and visible. This is not about excitement, it's about understanding where money has no alternative but to go. We hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned as we discuss more watch lists associated with this discussion. On Trade Talk.